All right, so once we've cleaned everything up, and I'm just kind of drying everything off here, but you know, you got to be realistic too, because some of this you can't get to. We don't want to really start gouging down in here with screwdrivers, but you know, you want to make sure everything's open and get it as clean as you can get it. But as you can see, I mean, you're going to have some buildup in there that you can't get out. If you want to take the time and get every bit of it out, then so be it. But you know, when you're dealing with something that is basically the bottleneck of your system, as far as, you know, taking the bulk majority of your contaminants out, you're going to get buildup in here just as fast as you're going to take it out. So I mean, we could clean it perfectly and it could be like this in a couple days again. So it's up to you, or it could be a couple months, you know, maybe. But I get as clean as I can, as practically possible, and try to dry everything out and get it ready to rebuild. Now, the first thing that I do is I go ahead and put all the new seals and spacers in. This particular kit it's a downflow piston, so it's the 690 piston, and it's the 60121 seal kit. So if I do it now, it's a little bit easier to handle instead of having everything bulky on it already, and we can basically put the rest of these items on later. So the first thing I do is open this up, and we'll get everything separated, seals, spacers, and the butt spacer. But as far as all the seals, they're all the same. So you don't, you know, all the spacers are the same. It's just this one end piece that's different. Now, I want you to get in here. I don't know if you can get in there or not, but there's a little lip here. And then if you look on the other side, it's rounded. Now, this little lip is what we want the seal to cut into. So we're going to put this in with this lip facing down. Now, for me to ensure that that gets done that way, again, I use another tool. This tool makes it a lot easier to install these seals and spacers. You can push this center up, then make sure you have that on the correct way, which in this case, it would be the bevel up, because I'm going to put the valve down on it like that until it's all the way seated in. Turn it upside down, and then we can pull that out, and now our butt cap is in all the way. Now, this tool has two features. It puts the spacer on with this side, and then it puts the seal on with this side. So if you've ever done any kind of engine work, this is sort of like a ring compressor. It's going to compress that seal in there. You can run this all the way down to that butt plate till it stops, and then push that seal out of the middle with that, pop it up, pull the whole tool, and now you know that seal is seated properly. And then we do the same thing again with the spacer. Spacer on there, all the way down, the tool out, get another seal in here compressed, go all the way down the spacer, push down, pop it out, next spacer, sure it's all the way down, next seal. And you notice I haven't put any grease on these. You don't want grease on these. You want these to fit nice and tight and snug. So you don't want them to be able to move or roll in there. Push it down, pop it off. Another spacer. Another seal. Push it down. Spacer. Seal. Spacer. And then the final seal. Now, once all your seals and spacers are in there, we're going to want to put the piston in. So we'll take this out of the bag, but I want to point out something to you. There's a new clip in there. It's kind of in the corner, so watch it when you take the bag out. You'll lose it if you don't watch it, or take the piston out. Now once the piston's out, it has an O-ring here that seals inside of here. I do like to put a little bit of grease on this. Not on the piston or anything, but just on this particular sealing O-ring. I go ahead and lube that up just so I know it'll go in there properly. But we're going to put the piston in the middle of the seal and spacers, wiggle it down in there. We'll get the retainer started, push everything down flat, and then I turn this slot to where it's supposed to be. Now if you hold your fingers here, you can kind of hold on to this and go up and down and make sure it's free. My hands are a little bit greasy now, but yeah, and it's going up and down good without any kind of locking or anything, and that's what you want. You know, you'll have some resistance, of course, but you don't want it to actually feel like it's catching on something. So now that we've got those in there, we're going to go ahead and put the rest of our valve together while we have it sitting here. We're going to build our throat assembly, and we're going to put the throat in first. You want to make sure that this is completely free and you can see through it. I don't know if you can or not. Let me see. I want to make sure it's wide open. If there's any kind of restriction in there, you want to get that out of there and clean it. You don't want to over drill, you know, you don't take a drill bit and oversize it or anything. Just clean out what's in there, because if you oversize it, you'll inhibit its ability to draw the air in properly. So take a little screwdriver and snug it in. And then this particular one has an even smaller orifice, so you want to make sure it's clear too. Yeah, you should be able to see now. Whenever there's water in there, it's hard to see through it, but you want to make sure it's clear too. And then we're going to screw it in the top here, and that takes our larger screwdriver here. And these are just snug. You don't have to crank them down, just snug them in there. We're going to put our screen back in the other hole. And on the other side, we're going to put our diffuser back where it goes, and it pops in flush there. Okay, now we have our first seal, and you can tell which way it goes because you can see the seal ring here and the cut on the, so we're going to put that there like that. We're just going to sit it on there for now. Then we're going to get our cap here. It's nice and clean now with our cap O-ring. And our cap gasket, I should say, not O-ring. And then we're going to put that back on. Get it through that bottom gasket as well and get them started. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and tighten those up. I snug each side first, so I make sure it's sitting flat, and then I go back and give it about a half turn to a full turn. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this tubing back on, but we're just going to keep it loose for now until we get everything together, and then we'll snug everything up when we're done. Check valve is clean now. Check valve always goes on the inlet port. You can tell it's the inlet because it's the one with the arrow pointing towards the valve. So we're going to put that on. Our intermediate came nice and clean as well. We're going to put it back. And if you need to, again, apply some grease to those so they flow in there or slide in there easily. So now that we've done that, we're going to put the backing plate on. And this is where it can be a little bit tougher. Put your brine valve together too. Just slide it, tighten it, or loosen it on there. But you got to kind of line all this stuff up at the same time so it can be a little bit tough, but we'll move that to the side. Now, we got to put this on before we tighten anything down, or we won't be able to get it in there. So we'll get this motor kind of lined back up where it goes. Get the brine valve going through the hole and get this cap on there right now. And now we can kind of push it on there a little bit. And we'll get this started. There it goes. Once that's started, and now we're going to want to get our screws in. Let me get it around here so you can see. Put your screw through your motor and line it up with the valve in the back. There it goes. Screw going in right there. We got another one here that's even a little bit tougher to get to. I put that top one in first because it kind of helps you line the bottom one up. Oh, it went pretty easy. There it went. Okay, once you got them both lined up, then you can go ahead and tighten these down. And we want to go ahead and snug side to side, because as you're tightening these, you're actually compressing that piston. So you're going to do a little bit here and then a little bit there. And then now you can see our piston's not exactly lined up. It's a little bit shy where it needs to be. You can use needle nose pliers or whatever you want to pull it back up. I like to use a pick because I can fit a pick in the side of that hole and kind of just pull up on it. So I got a little pick like this is what I use, but once that's in place, grab a hold of it with a pick, just pull it up a little bit. Pull a little bit more, and once you get there, you can kind of push the pick through there and use it like a drift pin and kind of line it up. Once it's lined up, you can take your new clip, and push it through there. Now, I'm being really fortunate that this is going in there pretty easy. Sometimes this is a pain in the neck and you'll stay on your head for a minute trying to get that all lined up, but it actually went pretty good. It's the magic of video, I guess, but once that's together, then we go over here and we're going to secure our brine valve. Tighten it down as far as you can with your hand, and then I'll take these channel locks here and snug it a little bit more. Oh, went too far. Okay. Make sure that's somewhat facing top. We'll go ahead and put our screen assembly on here. And I didn't show you this, but this screen will pull off of here. Here, let me slide it back on there and I'll show you. See, it just pulls right off like it's just a rubber grommet. If that's dirty, you can take that off and clean it out, but you don't want that obstructed, and you want it in place because you don't want spiders or whatever getting in here and you're pulling spiders in your system. So make sure that's in place. Once that's in place, then I'm going to go ahead and tighten down my tube connections now that I know everything's in the correct place and everything can be seated properly. Same thing here. Just like that. And then you can return your drain line connection point and your retaining clip. And then as promised, I cleaned this up too and made it look good. So we're going to put that back on, put the hinge pin back through it. And it's good to go. Now, before you put it on your actual tank and put it back together, you may want to go ahead and run it through a cycle, put it through a manual regeneration, make sure everything moves and nothing freezes up on it. So that's never a bad idea. I can go ahead and show you that since we're here and we're still kind of rolling. We'll plug it in real quick. And it'll be flashing 12 o'clock. We can just go ahead and cancel that off, and we'll push and hold the extra cycle button, which is the regen button. You'll hear the motor kick in and start to move everything, showing we're going to backwash. Went there without a hitch. We're counting down. Let's hit it again. Should go to brine draw. It went there without a hitch. Rapid rinse. And the brine fill is off, so it should go back to service. Perfect. So, and you notice how quick that happened. That's one of the best things about this valve, is it moves through the cycles pretty quick. But once you've moved through the cycles there and you know you're okay, you can go ahead and put it back in, check for leaks, reprogram and regenerate, put another pocket of air in your tank, and then you should be good to go for a while again. This has been the Fleck 2510 air injection valve rebuild, but it will also serve the same purpose for most softeners and whatnot if you follow some of the directions. Some of the directions are a little different, but hope you get some use out of it. Thanks.